everyone. I'm here to show you how to properly use our patch kit, which is consists of our Lava 20 detail. You have our primer, and we have the PU mastic. This will also include a stick for you to mix the product once it's ready to be used. You have some gloves as well included with the patch kit, and some brushes as well to apply the patch kit. So some of the advantages of having this particular patch kit is that, this is going to last you for a very long time, decades in fact. So this is something that you're not going to have to worry about in a 6 to 10 year timeline. This is going to last you for a very, very, very long time. So, and also some of the advantages of this is that you don't have to use, for example, fleas to wrap around any major penetration, like a vent, for example, like this one. We also have other penetrations inside here as well, and we have the curb as well here. So again, these penetrations, normally you would have to use fleas, right, to wrap around it and do multiple layers. In this kit, this particular patch kit, the detail already comes with the texture embedded into the product itself. In other words, the fleas material is already embedded with the Lava 20 product, so that you don't have to utilize any fleas at all. So I'm going to show you how to properly install this application. Before we begin, we want to make sure that the weather, you check the weather, make sure that your weather is going to be at least nice for the next couple of hours before you start any application. Now we also have to create a circumference of about maybe 4 square feet or so from the penetration, or the vent in this case. This is about a 6-inch vent that I see here, so you want to make sure you carve yourself out a nice little area before you start, okay? And now once you do that, you want to make sure and take a brush and go ahead and clean that area from debris as much as possible. Now, some roofs will have more debris than others, so you have to kind of judge on your own whether you need to pressure wash it, make sure it's nice and dry before starting. If not, in this case, this seems to be a pretty nice cleaned area here, so we should be ready to start application. All right, guys, so we're going to start with the primer now. This is the first step of the application. So what you want to do is you have a little red cap here. You want to make sure that you shake it really well before opening. Then you pop it right out, and it just unscrews just like that. So you want to make sure and tear this little piece off here, plastic, and pour that into a paint tray. Now keep in mind, you don't have to use that much primer. Less is more in this case, because the primer can hold some gases, and you don't want to make sure it's too thick. All right, because it'll take a lot longer to cure, so it's not necessary. So again, less is more. One of the brushes that comes with the patch kit, so you're going to gently just go ahead and soak that as much as you can, and then you're going to start with the vent here. Make sure you get all the crevices, you get all the areas really well, so that the lava detail adheres. And one thing you want to make sure and keep in mind, guys, is for new roofs, when you have these penetrations, whether it be aluminum or PVC, they carry these coatings from their manufacturer. So you want to make sure and scarify that with some sandpaper, and make sure you get those out before you start priming. Completed applying the primer, you want to make sure and wait about 15 to 20 minutes to make sure it's completely dry. And one way to check that, once you return after 15-20 minutes, is by just tapping it, maybe touching it, just to make sure that it's completely dry. And so now what we're going to be working on is on a drain. It's about a 3-4 inch drain that we're going to be working on now. So you want to make sure that you start from the inside out, right? So you want to get all the way in there to where the PVC, in this case, drain starts and it joins the membrane of the roof, okay? So now that that's been completed, you want to make sure that once the primer's been applied, you're gonna again wait 15 to 20 minutes so it's completely dry. Again, you wanna make sure it's completely dry. And after those 20 minutes, you come back. The way you can, just kind of check to make sure it's not still wet. You wanna go ahead and touch it and just, be able to tell whether it needs more time to cure or not. Yes, so now, like I mentioned before, you want to come back and make sure that it's completely dry. So once you have your gloves on, you want to make sure and get this opened up. You can go ahead and use a flathead screwdriver. It's easy enough, just like a paint can, and get that right open for you. Okay, so as you can see here, it's a bit clumpy, right? So you want to make sure and take your stick, which is also part of your patch kit, and get it in there and make sure you do a nice mix in there. Mix it really, really well. Here, the texture, it's a bit more liquidy, right? So once you've nice and mixed it, it's nice and smooth. That's the way it should be before application. You'll notice that the texture, it's not necessarily paint, right? So it's not going to be too much liquidy, if you will. It's going to have a bit more texture. So when you're painting, usually you want to like make sure you get a little bit and then you continue forward. In this case, you want to make sure and grab a nice clump of it. Make sure, because it has that texture already in there, right in there, and all those crevices, all those difficult areas to get. Make sure you get that texture in there. So you can see here, because this is basically replacing or substituting the fleas, right? So you're not having to use the fleas. In this case, it's already embedded within the product. So to give it that texture, that same texture as if you used fleas, right? So if you go all the way to the bottom, you're gonna notice here, it's clumpy, and that's that texture, that fleas material, that fleas feel that this material has, right? So you wanna make sure that you get that all nice and mixed in together with the more fluid part of the, the system or the product, the detail product. The final product, the final finish, as you can see, the final result, everything is nicely covered. Once you remove the tape around the area, it should give you a nice little square circumference there with the product, all nicely sealed. And here you have my other penetration with the vent that we were working on. As you can see, it was very nicely finished. And also, one thing I wanted to point out is we have about still 3/4 of the primer left, and we've used I don't know, that might be 1/4 of the lava detail, maybe a little less than that. So that should give you easily another 4, maybe 5 other penetrations that you can use this one single kit for.